Hi, beautiful people. I hope you enjoyed my live yesterday. That's why I didn't do a video because I did a long, the second part of the mess to mastery for your emotions. Please go and see. It's the ladder to climb out of deep, dark places. So go and see that if you haven't seen that. And today I just want to go in a little bit more about the effect of shame on your body and how it literally creates the negativity and the negative inward energy towards your body creates disease, dis-ease, and diseases, because I like to sort of to break that up, because all a disease is a disease in the body, right? And chronic pain. And my story I shared with you, but just, again, I was in chronic pain for many, many years. And, the wake-up call was that I was shaming myself continuously for not being good enough, for not being all the rest, worthy, deserving. And yet we are born that way. So therefore the programming had to be overcome, the programming that was put into our brains. And as children, and so it's really, really vital to start to stop the habit of shame. It's actually an addiction. It's literally so common and so inside of us, in our tradition, in our society, that it's become norm. And the normality of this is going to have a contributing knock-on effect to our children if we don't stop it in ourselves now. And so I really, for the good of the mankind and helping easing your own chronic pain and chronic issues, it's vital for us to get this peace that our body is saying no more. It doesn't want to be broken. It doesn't want to feel broken. It doesn't want to feel it. We are whole, and the thoughts and emotions that we are having spiral our body into this, dismal place, right? So shaming ourselves is, basically the core belief is that we're disconnected from, when we're not whole, we're disconnected from whole, we're not ultimately and unique in our existence. We are not perfect. We're not perfect in our imperfections. Everything in this universe is perfect. We look at a tree, we look at a flower, we look, oh, how beautiful is that? But how often do we direct that energy into ourselves? You don't see a tree and say, oh, that's too brown, or too, it's got too many wrinkles, or too many, it's too many branches. Or you might want to cut it a little bit to prune it, but you don't say, that's bad, that's a bad tree, and it's not enough, and all these things that we say to ourselves all the time. And so, when you start to see in nature the beauty and the perfection, and start to see how you're actually, is that how I'm feeling and talking and experiencing myself or not? So we can, relate to nature, which is a very good way of helping to break this this addiction, right, of shaming ourselves. So vulnerability is the core of shame and fear and disconnection, but it's also the birthplace. Vulnerability is the secret weapon, is the feeling, is also the birthplace of belonging, joy, creativity, spontaneity, deep love and connection. So it's a double-edged sword. Vulnerability, being able to be visible, to stand up, to be seen, to be heard, to be loved for who you are. And this takes practice, right? It takes practice. It takes actually a community to build that those abilities to be seen and heard and embraced for exactly who you are. So, you know, that's really, really important. And the allowance to be self, you know, comes from self, but it also starts to come from kind of this feeling that, you know, we're building a community, and we can be in community of people who are allowing that to be present in you, right? So a beautiful practice that I have taken on, oh, hang on a second, I'll just go into, I want to give you some practical tips for how you can actually start to unstop shaming yourself, just some reframes. By numbing our emotions and not allowing our true expression to be seen, we don't actually only numb the pain of being, you know, the pain of standing out, being seen, you know, being imperfect, and all the judgment that we feel that we have of other people, but also primarily ourselves, right? Our judging our critic, it comes out and judges ourselves, right? The cost of numbing our feelings and numbing our experiences of authenticity and true self, true nature of self, in the too much or the too not enough experience of that, depending, again, that's judgment, right? But, you know, where sometimes we feel we're even too much, or too this or too that, or too sensitive, or on also the other side of the coin is that we're feeling too not enough, right? So there's two aspects of this same thing. Shaming ourselves for that is that, so we avoid those feelings, but in those avoiding of those feelings of shame, we numb the vital energies. We numb the vital energies of ourselves, of our existence, of our expression, of our joy, of our happiness, of feeling of gratitude, feeling of excitement. All of these things are numbed as well, right? So it's really important. And I'm going to go into another time the inner child, but the importance of the expression, of authentic expression, is basically pressing in our true authentic inner child that's dying to be expressed and dying to be revealed. And so within all that, the pressing in and pressing down is that we numb all vital emotions, energy, emotion. And so not only the negative emotions, or whatever you want to call them, the lower vibrational emotions are pressed in to avoid feeling, you know, shame and judgment. We lock in or numb in or press in all our vital energies as well, which is why we have an epidemic of also chronic fatigues and various other emotional based you know, diseases in the body, because we are doing that constantly, right? So, and another point is that we have all these addiction behaviors to avoid feeling emotions. So why don't we just get good at feeling an emotion, which is why I'm doing this series, of trainings on from mess to mastering emotions, right? So it's really, really important. The vital part, or the important part as well to notice, is that when we blame others or ourselves or others for things that are happening in our lives, which is kind of pointing the finger, you know, at the root cause, it's actually, when we point a finger, first of all, we're pointing several fingers back at us, 3 fingers back at us, which is a really nice reframe, right? And also that it's a way to discharge the pain and the discomfort. It's just a discharge, but it doesn't solve the problem, right? So a beautiful reframe that I've incorporated into my life, and I love it, and I often say it in my videos, is this wabi-sabi, imperfection or perfection, you know, allowing the imperfection. And this is a Japanese it's actually a traditional Japanese aesthetic style, let's say, but it's actually a world view centered on acceptance of the transient and the imperfection. And this is a beautiful, they have Japanese art, and you can look it up. There's loads of Japanese wabi-sabi art, that or art forms or gardens that are in that style. And so when they say, well, I'm doing a wabi-sabi style video, you can know that what I mean, right? It's the allowing of progress over perfection, being in its in its transient or creativity sense, right? We're in this that's a really beautiful reframe that I found has been really helpful in my life of getting over, or recovering perfectionist, unable to actually move forward in my life because I was so blocked with shame, and so blocked with what people are going to say to me, and my intern, and ultimately my own critic judging me, right? So which creates a lot of pressure on the body and the creation of symptoms, right? So something else that really has helped me is the introduction of forgiveness practices in my life. So I have been doing gratefulness diary. I don't know if you've heard about diary. I can do a video on that if you want some details, but it's also creating a practice of forgiveness, especially for people who suffer from shame or internal shaming and shaming from other people. So you can start to forgive. Forgiveness is one of the most beautiful practices. I love the reframe of the word, for me, give. So it's nothing to do with the other person. It's to do with you. You give yourself, forgiveness, so that you're giving to yourself and releasing that, crunching down, pressing in energy of blame, shame, make wrong. And it's a really, really, really beautiful thing that you can start to do every single day. I have my gratitude diary here. I write every single morning to move, any energies of shame that I have fast and easy. And it's actually creating the habit. So as soon as the shaming no longer happens so much, and if it does, you're already releasing it. So your release is as a practice every single day, right? So I practice forgiveness daily. And, I'm starting to, it's actually becoming a internal state rather than having to do a practice, but I still do it because I think it's such a beautiful practice. And something else that I really have loved and incorporated into my life is the ancient Hawaiian spiritual prayer. I don't know if you know it, I can't pronounce it ever, Ho'oponopono practice, right? Which is basically totally it is based in releasing and healing and acceptance, basically taking responsibility for everything around you and being in this healing. It creates a kind of healing prayer inside of you, and all you do is just repeat 4 mini sentences in your brain, in your heart and your body while you're feeling it deeply, by saying, I'm sorry is the first one. Please forgive me is the second. Third, I thank you and I love you. Those 4 phrases transform your life. And sounds bizarre. I mean, it sounds like too be good to be true, but really it's those resonance of those words and the feeling of those words in your body and in your heart as you say them and mean them, and to, as a practice. So you can be saying it throughout your day, whenever you're feeling stressed, whenever you're feeling tight, whenever those emotions of sadness, anger, fear, shaming comes in. It's a beautiful, beautiful practice for yourself. and of course the ripple effect of our collective consciousness. Okay, so I hope that's given you some kind of the importance of creating safety in your body from the internal shaming, the internal aggression of hatred and shaming, and starting to creating practices for self-love. And with that, I'm going to love you and leave you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.